So a few videos ago when I was talking about why I collect retro games, I mentioned the subject of preservation. And I feel like this is a good video to talk about that subject because it's something that is super important, especially in this transition time that since Nintendo has announced the closing of the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U eShops. The 3DS and the Wii U were both very interesting consoles, one for being one of the honestly the best video game systems of all time, and one for being basically the opposite of that. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the Wii U. It seemed to hit its stride very quickly and not deliver on a lot of the things that it promised. But that's another video in and of itself. Not too long ago, as of recording this, Nintendo announced that they were going to be closing down the Wii U and the 3DS eShops at the end of March of 2023. So what that means is that all those games that are on that store once it closes will no longer be available to buy, and all of the ones that you have bought already, you will no longer be able to download. But why is this a big deal? I tell you, it's a huge deal because there are so many games on those shops that are only available on those shops. Whether good quality games are bad, the fact that they are only available there means that once these shops close down, these games are gone forever. Now, I never bought all that many games on the system digitally because I'm a physical collector, but there are games that are exclusively digital. Stuff like Liberation Maiden, Harmonite, and the Mario and Donkey Kong games that you could only get on these shops, you'll never be able to play again if you don't have them downloaded. This is where the subject of preservation comes in, and why me personally as a collector, I try to only get physical games and only buy digital games whenever the sale is just too good to pass up, or that's the only way I can play them. One of the main reasons I collect physical games is because of preservation. Now I know what you and Makar back there are probably thinking. Why would you bother collecting all these physical games when most of them are garbage? And that might be true. No one's gonna come back 15 years from now, in 2037, and say, oh, do you remember playing NES Baseball or Tetrisphere on the Nintendos? Those were great games, weren't they? I wish I could play those again. No one's gonna say that. But the thing about it is we shouldn't have to say that. Gaming has sort of developed this trend that if it's not new, then it's not good. And as a gamer, I can kind of understand that. The medium has evolved and there are things we take for granted now that we didn't have back in the day, such as a thumbstick to control a camera. Trust me, you go back to some of those early 3D games, try playing Super Mario 64 or The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and not have camera controls. It's clunky at best. But video games as an art form is still super new. Like, these have only been around since the late 70s. And I think we fall prey to the things being shiny and new, and we can say, oh, well, forget about that old thing, we got this new one here. I got the PlayStation 5, who cares about the PlayStation 1 anymore? But therein lies a problem that we as a society still seem to have today. Only looking forward and not trying to remember and learn from the past. Yes, we have that new shiny Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, but that only exists because the series got its start 20 years ago. Yes, we're all excited for Breath of the Wild too, but we wouldn't have that without the Hyrule Adventure back in 1986. And yes, people love their Call of Duties and their Fortnites, but shooters like that wouldn't exist without something like Doom or Wolfenstein, both series that are still trying today. Preservation, I just feel, is super important. We have all these series that we love today that because of preservation, we can go back and look and see where they came from. We can see how the genres in the series have evolved over the decades to get us where we are now. And I'm not that big of a history buff, but I feel like that's important. Hearing about the 3DS getting its eShop closed down really just, I guess, made me sentimental, and it got me really thinking about this. So leave it in the comments below. Tell me what you think on the whole subject of preservation. I'd be very interested to hear somebody else's take on it. It's a subject that I feel needs to be talked about more, and I feel like there's more that can be done to preserve gaming history as a whole. Anyway, that's going to be it for me for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.